This is class 10 CBSE Civics Chapter 2 Federalism Part 1. Federalism means is a system of government which sharing power between the central government and the state government. Overview of this lesson. In the previous chapter, we noted that vertical division of power among different levels of government is one of the major forms of power sharing in modern democracies. In previous chapter, power sharing, we learned about the one of the form of power sharing is vertical division of power sharing. That means different levels of the government, they shared the power among themselves. That is like central government, state government, and one more tier is there, that one is local self government. In this chapter, that is in this federalism chapter, we focus on this form. We focus only especially the vertical division of power sharing. We focused on that. It is most commonly referred to as federalism. So vertical division of power sharing is also known as federalism. We begin by this chapter describing the meaning of the federalism in general terms. So this is first one we are going to learn. Then rest of the chapter tries to understand the theory and practice of federalism in India. So second topic. Next, a discussion of the federal constitutional provisions is followed by an analysis of the policies and politics that have strengthened federalism in practice. The third objective. Towards the end of the chapter, we turn to the local government, that is local self-government, that is Panchayati Raj and municipalities, a new and third tier of Indian federalism. So these are the subtopics we are going to discuss in this lesson. What is federalism? Let us get back to the contrast between Belgium and Sri Lanka. In previous last chapter, we learned about that two important countries, that is Belgium and Sri Lanka, what type of government, what model of government they are following. Belgium is adapted accommodation, Sri Lanka adapted majoritarianism. So you would recall that one of the key changes made in the constitution of Belgium was to reduce the power of the central government and to give these powers to the regional governments. So we already learned that while they are make some changes, that is amend the constitution of Belgium, almost they amended the constitution of Belgium 4 times. In that, one of the important changes, it's reduce the power of the central government and to give these powers to the regional governments. Regional governments existed in Belgium even earlier. Even the amendment happened, even that the regional government existed in Belgium. They had their roles and powers, but all these powers were given to these governments and could be withdrawn by the central government at any time. So any time the central government, the roles and powers of the regional government could be withdrawn. So this one is amended in 1993 and changed that one. According to the change took place in 1993 was that the regional governments were given constitutional powers that were no longer dependent on the central government. So according to the 1993, the regional governments of Belgium, it has given the constitutional powers. Hereafter, these regional governments no no need to depend on the central government, and also the central government could not have any power to withdraw the regional government's power. Thus, Belgium shifted from a unitary to a federal form of government. Unitary means single government, one level of government. Uni, single. So, central government only holds the entire power. That one is known as unitary. It's turned to federal form of government. Sri Lanka continues to be, for all practical purposes, a unitary system where the national government means central government or union government, has all the powers. So, in Sri Lanka they are following the majoritarianism model. So, it's following the unitary system. That's what the national government of Sri Lanka has all the powers. Tamil leaders want Sri Lanka to become a federal system, but the Sri Lanka refused that. So, civil war broken out. Federalism is a system, this is the definition, important definition of federalism. Federalism is a system of government in which the power is divided between a central authority and various constituent units. Central authority means central government, various constituent units means regional or state governments of the country. Usually, a federation has two levels of government. Generally, federation has two levels of government. One is the government for the entire country. So, entire country means central government, that is usually responsible for a few subjects of common national interest. So, entire country one. So, usually they are responsible for the few important subjects. If you take as India, like defense, foreign affairs, banking, currency, that is money, these are the few subjects under the control of the central government. The others are governments at the level of or states that took after much of the day-to-day administering of their state. So, state government, they are taking care of their state boundary areas and then administering their own state, that means their state. Both these levels of governments enjoy their power independent of the other. Here they given world map and then shaded some areas, some countries are shaded with that red color and some are not. So, the area shaded with that red, that countries are following the federal political system. The rest of the countries are not following the federal system. In this sense, federations are contrasted with unitary governments. That is, federal system government is different from the unitary governments. Under the unitary system, either there is only one level of government or the subunits. So, in unitary system, either there is only one level of government, this is point number 1, or the subunits. Subunits means state governments or regional governments, but the subunits are subordinate to the central government. That means the state governments or regional governments under the control of the central government. This is point number 2. Next, the central government can pass an orders to the provincial or the local government. Point number 3. So, the central government can pass the orders to that provincial or the local government to make them to follow. For this type of government, that is unitary system government, is best example is Sri Lanka. Best example is Sri Lanka. Next one is federal system. The central government cannot order the state government to do something. This is the first one, first point. So in federal system, central government cannot order the state government to do something. That means what? The state government is independent. State government has powers of its own for their which it is not answerable to the central government. This is point number 2. Important point. The state government is not subordinate to the central government. The state government has the own power which is not answerable to the central government. Both these governments are separately answerable to the people. But both the government, unitary government as well as the federal government, separately answerable to the people. For federal system, best example is Belgium. For federal, best example is Belgium. Let us look at some of the key features of federalism. Often they will ask in the board examinations. This is 5-mark question. First point, there are 2 or more levels or tiers of government. Levels or tiers, both are same meaning. So there are 2 or more levels of government. That means first one is central level, that is central government. Then next level is state government or regional government. Then in India we have the 3rd level of government, that is 3rd tier of government, that is local self government. Local self government. Second one, different tiers of government, that is different levels of government, govern the same citizens, but each tier has its own jurisdiction in specific matters of legislation, that is especially making of the laws, then taxation and administration. So central government will administer in the central level, then state government is administer in the state level in the particular area of the state. So jurisdiction means it's a official power to make legal decisions and judgments in that particular tier itself. So in your book here they given that glossary, that is the area over which someone has legal authority, that is whether that one is state government. The area may be defined in terms of geographical boundaries or in terms of certain kinds of subjects. That means a certain kinds of areas or certain kinds of departments. Taxation. So in taxation also we have the central government taxation and state government taxation. For example, central government taxation, they are collecting the taxes as a customs duty, income tax, service tax, etc. In the state level, they are also collecting that income tax, but that income is arised or earned in that state itself. So in that income they are collecting the income tax, sales tax. So the sales activity should be happened in that particular state border, means from the sales also they are collecting the taxes and other taxes, charges and fees, then property tax. These are the some examples of the taxes which is collecting by the state government. Then third one is the jurisdictions of the respective levels or tiers of government are specified in the constitution. These jurisdictions is completely explained, completely specified in the constitution. So the existence and authority of the each tier of government is constitutionally guaranteed. So constitutionally it's specified that state government in what level they have the official power, in what areas they have to give the legal decisions or judgments. Like this entire thing is given in the, that means entire thing is guaranteed in the constitution. Fourth one, the fundamental provisions of the constitution cannot be unilaterally changed by one level of government. Such changes require the consent of both the levels of government. So if in the constitution any fundamental provisions, any constitutional amendment or any changes, if they want to make, means it cannot be unilaterally changed, it cannot be individually changed by their own, by any one level of government. If central government wants to change in the constitution, they should consult with the state government. If state government wants to change any fundamental provisions of the constitution, they also should consult with the central government. So they cannot be unilaterally change the constitution. Fifth one, courts have the power to interpret the constitution and the powers of different levels of government. So courts also have the power to interpret the constitution and the powers of different levels of government. For state level, High Court have the power to interpret the constitution. In central government level, Supreme Court have the higher authority to interpret the constitution and powers of the central government. The highest court in India, the highest court is Supreme Court, acts as an umpire. Acts as an umpire if disputes arise between different levels of government in the exercise of their respective powers. In the basis of the power sharing, if any disputes, any issues arise between the two different levels, that is between the central government and the state government, if it is arise, the Supreme Court acts as an umpire. Sources of revenue for each level of government, that is central government and state government, are clearly specified to ensure its financial autonomy. So financial individuality, financial independent. The sources of revenue also of the level of the government of central and state is clearly specified. The federal system thus has dual objectives. Two objectives are there: to safeguard and promote unity of the country. So first one is to safeguard the country, to safeguard the peoples of the country and promote the unity of the country, while at the same time accommodate regional diversity. For example, if we take as a Belgium, the language regional diversity is there. So the Belgium federal system is accommodate that regional diversity. Therefore, two aspects are crucial for the institutions and practice of federalism. Governments at different levels should agree to some rules of power sharing. So different levels of government, they should agree some rules of power sharing. They should also trust that each would obey by its part of the agreement. An ideal federal system has both aspects. One is mutual trust, another one is agreement to live together. This is the important ideal federal system. One is mutual trust between the central government and state government. Then next one is agreement to live together. The exact balance of power between the central and the state government varies from one federation to another. So the balance of the power between the central and the state government, it varies from one federation to another federation. This balance depends mainly on the historical context in which the federation was formed. There are two kinds of routes, two ways or two forms through which federations have been formed. So there are two forms of federation. The first one is coming together federations, second one is holding together federation. The first route involves independent states coming together on their own. So independent states of that country, they coming together on their own interest to form a bigger unit, that is they form a bigger country, so that by pooling sovereignty means self-governing state. So all the states are independent, but even though they are coming together and form a big unit and retaining identity. For example, USA is there. So USA has different states. The states are self-governing state, independent state. The rights they have their own, they are autonomy, but even though they are coming together and form a United States of America, so they have the identity, they belongs to this country, United States of America. Like that identity, they can increase their security too. If the states are independently, autonomy is divided, the security is very less. So if they join together and make a bigger unit as a big country, so their sovereignty as well as they are retaining the identity, and it can be increase their security also. This type of federal form is coming together federations. Example is USA, Switzerland and Australia. In this first category of federations, all the constituent states, all the states usually have equal power. This is important. All the states usually have equal power and are strong vis-a-vis the federal government. So it has that with regard to, in relation to, it has that equal power of the all the states. Second route or second form. Actually there are two federal routes. One is coming together, we learned that. Now the second route, that is second form, is where a large country decides to divide its power between the constituent states and the national government. Here actually a large country, it decides to divide its power between the constituent states. So from the national government, that is from the central government, they divide the powers to that different constituent states. For this example is India, Spain and Belgium are examples of this kind of holding together federation. The second route is known as, or second form is known as holding together federation. In this second category, the central government tends to be more powerful. So here central government is more powerful vis-a-vis the states with regard to that states, that means with compared to the states, central government as the more powerful, very often different constituent units of the federation have unequal powers. So in India, if we take the example as India, all the states has not a equal power. Some units, that is some states are granted special powers. For this example is Jammu and Kashmir, that is according to the article 370, it has some special powers. But recently it one was withdrawn by that central government and made the Jammu and Kashmir as a union territory. In next video, we will discuss about the topic is what makes India a federal country. Until then, thank you.